Day to day, I've spent a lot of my time going through my advertising.
My phone is permanently by my side, my emails take priority.
A lot of calls and also booking ferries, flights and hotels.
I see myself as a business person, I also see myself as an entrepreneur.
I think I'm just another self-employed person. Only slight difference is I have sex and flirt for money.
I'm Laura. I've been in the sex industry now for 24 years. I am a sex worker, dominatrix and fierce campaigner for sex workers' rights.
My name is Lexi Starr and I'm a former established trans, escort, dominatrix and webcam model.
When I worked in the sex industry as a sex worker and an escort, for me personally, the reason why I enjoyed it so much is because when you close the door between client and escort, sex worker, hooker, whatever you want to call them, it's a very private, intimate moment. And I felt so honoured and humbled for that client to trust me.
So I came over in the UK because one of my friends was working in the UK and she told me she earned good money. I'm not proud of what I'm doing. From a psychological point of view, there are a lot of disadvantages.
The work that I do is fantastic. I absolutely adore any human being, to be fair, but I think that anybody is entitled to that love and intimacy in their lives, and if I can do that, even to somebody with disabilities, then that's me happy.
I used to be a mental health professional, so I believe that my training as a therapist also complemented my job in that I could sometimes just be there for somebody to talk to, so it wasn't necessarily a sexual transaction.
So it's a lot of emotional labour, a lot of listening actually. I think when people have a perception of sex work, they think that we have sex incessantly, and that's not true at all, I'm afraid.
Some people don't realise that prostitution is legal in the United Kingdom. People think it's illegal, and it's not. It's perfectly legal for one person to sell sex from premises.
I think when I was a sex worker, the reason why I was so good at it, I say modestly, is because I genuinely care about people and also believe that I was born to be a sex worker.
When I came back to sex work in 2006 after a protracted break and found that it had all moved online, I was horrified because I didn't understand the difference between upload and download. Now that we've moved forward from that, I think it's very, very advantageous with the use of apps to keep us safe, for example.
The internet and digital technology is really, really important to sex workers.
Hello.
As we progress in a digital age, it's an opportunity for sex workers to use various platforms to be able to grow their brand to their target audience.
I have to change my picture every week because otherwise I can't get new clients, or even the old ones. They don't call again because they want something new all the time.
The main change I've seen with regard to digital technology is more competition. On the one hand, that's great because it helps you to up your game. On the other hand, it's not so great because sometimes you have to lower your prices. I think it's harder work advertising online because you have to keep abreast of changes, perhaps faster because digital technology works faster than when we did print press, for example.
The main change is that I would say is that a lot more people are advertising their services with it being online. Since it's kind of come off the street, a lot more people from different walks of life are doing it. So you have like anything from the student nurse wanting to fund their university degree to trafficked women, which is the tragic side of the other end of the spectrum. Digital technology is imperative in my work because I use digital technology to update profile pictures, to send email, to answer booking forms from the site. And also, when I used to cam, it was a two-way webcam interacting with clients.
I've started supplementing my income with camming now. It's a really good build-on to an escorting business. It's great fun, you have a great laugh, talk to a lot of people, and it's a great way to get yourself out there. But it does come with its risks of being recorded or shared with other people.
Camming is talking in live stream real time to clients. So that could be through a typed message or it could be with your microphone switched on, and it would be on a pay-per-minute view, which you set your price at, and it would basically be commands from them telling you what to do. It's ultimately stripping on a cam and obeying commands that you're comfortable with obeying.
It is very important for me to protect my identity because I don't want my family and my friends to find out what I am working. I was married many years in Romania. My life was far from being a nice one and a very abusive marriage I had. So I came to the UK. I started doing this work, but I had in my mind that I will stop at some point and I'm not going to do it for a long time.
I think one of the biggest issues with online sex work, to be honest, is probably how easy it is for it to be linked with your other online presences and how easy that information is to be shared once it's out there. Pictures online, phone numbers online, details get shared on forums. So I try my hardest to keep them as far apart as possible. Different phones, different laptops, everything, just to stop them linking up. Protecting my privacy when I'm camming is a little bit more complicated. On some websites we can use certain types of software that protects us from being recorded. They can sometimes end up on webcam shows, or we can use services that will look for our videos online and then help us to get them removed. But it's a big risk to privacy camming because once it's out there you can't get it back.
To keep myself safe at work, I use a lot of apps to try and screen my clients as much as I can beforehand. So check out their previous feedback, run their number through the number checker and speak to them by phone as well to try and get a feel for the kind of person that they are.
So I would give them the equivalent of a 5-minute police interview. Where did you see the advert, darling? If they mentioned a site that I wasn't on, I wouldn't take the call any further.
At the moment, it's perfectly legal for me to be able to work and operate on my own. If I want to be safe at work with another person, then I'm breaking the law as it's deemed as a brothel.
And violent attackers are aware of that, and they know that we're sitting ducks, that we're targets with cash, with mobile phones. Very often we're in vulnerable positions.
No matter where are you working, in your own home or on the street or in a sauna, and I think decriminalization would be something to look at because you never know who you open the door to or who's coming in your house.
When I was a sex worker, I was stalked once by a client for probably about 3 months where he literally followed me in his car, which was very unnerving. Also, I had to physically remove a client from my premises once when he became aggressive. Now, that is over a career that lasted 24 years. And yes, sure, that could be seen as harassment and a crime. Equally, when I was a nurse many years ago, I was attacked many times, including once with a knife. So crime in sex work is there, but crime in any occupation is also there, and we need to protect ourselves within that.
The reason why I became out as a sex worker was because I was threatened and blackmailed when I was back in my hometown many, many years ago. I had a nightclub which I did a lot of marketing for. A gentleman saw that and threatened and blackmailed me, saying that if I didn't give them free sex and money, they would out me to the paper. A female contacted me about a documentary, and I thought, do you know what, sod it, if somebody is going to blackmail me, I'm going to be out as a sex worker from my own accord. I did the documentary, and unfortunately my next door neighbour saw it and didn't agree to what I did for a living and didn't want to be living next door to a sex worker. So she told the landlord, and I was eventually evicted from my home.
Using the internet to communicate with other sex workers and find out more about what's going on in the sex work community has been essential for me. It really is quite an isolating job, so having the support forums that we've got, I've met other people. We now have WhatsApp and Facebook groups that are really helpful, not only for isolation, but also for safety, to pass on numbers.
The support networks I've used in the past would be National Ugly Mugs, which is a national organisation for the safety of sex workers, escorts, dominatrixes, anyone coming into contact with paying clients.
The online sex industry, when I was escorting, I pretty much always did other jobs alongside it, and I actually paid for my therapy training through sex work.
I fit my sex work around the rest of my life quite effectively. I also have a daughter, a partner, and I'm studying at university.
I would sum up my work as a normal occupation. You know, I love meeting people, I love hearing about people, I love hearing about different cultures. It's given me an invaluable set of tools how to interact with people of all walks of life, really.
I believe in my nice future. I already planned on exiting. I have a strategy for this, and I am sure I can succeed and I can be independent and have a lot of self-confidence.
I think the stigma around online sex work, as any sex work, is still massive. A lot of people assume that we're trafficked, on drugs, abused or anything like that. They don't take the time to learn who we are, what we are, and that we're not a danger to the community at all or anyone else. We're just doing our jobs.
At the moment we're very divided, and I think that the minute we unify our strengths, we could really tell the world why we deserve the same rights as any human being out there. I've been running a radio show now for about 3 years, and for me it's a perfect opportunity to be able to get voices within the industry heard.
I think stigma around sex work can be challenged by more sex workers coming forward and speaking about their experiences, not necessarily face to face, but I think sex workers blogging, for example, has been very beneficial and given people an insight into the realities of our job, which sometimes is the same as anybody else's. Some good days, some bad days, some days when you're absolutely bored out of your head. And it's important that the people see the reality of and the humanity of the job that we do.